Stand tall, Ryunosuke. It's not over yet.
What?
If what you say is true, then there's something going on here behind the scenes. And now's your chance to expose it, to draw out the truth in your cross-examination.
I don't know, Kazuma.
The defense is entitled to the cross-examine the witnesses, but make it quick, understood?
Rules can be so unbending at times. Yes, it may be true that I was holding a gun at that point in time. But I've told you already, that's only because I picked it up off the floor. But obviously, as a cobra, that's the only way you could explain it away. I had just finished drinking my coffee and I was about to leave the restaurant when I noticed a gun on the floor at Dr. Wilson's feet, so I picked it up. And at exactly that moment, a gunshot rang in my ears.
Full of evidence beyond our control, life is.
Sorry, what do you mean?
In your case, you found a pistol on the floor and picked it up, which precipitated this testing predicament. Whereas conversely, I failed to pick up the Koban from the floor and find myself in an equally testing predicament as a result. Anyway, the fact remains, myself, I did see you, with pistol in hand standing over the foreigner.
You must have noticed someone else at Dr. Wilson's table.
You must have noticed someone else at Dr. Wilson's table. There was a lady there.
As you have been at pains to point out time and again, I feel like I'm growing a callus in my ear. And yet, no one else appears to have caught even a glimpse of this woman.
If only there had been more people dining there at the time, then someone else would have noticed her.
Unfortunately, it was already past 2 p.m. when it happened. The quiet time between lunch and dinner in any restaurant.
I know, of course the place was almost empty. It's what you'd expect.
Certainly 2 p.m. is neither here nor there in terms of a time to eat. I wonder if there was a reason why the victim was eating at the time of day and why he was alone.
Yes, Your Excellency, there indeed was a reason.
There was?
This was found in the victim's jacket pocket.
What is that, Counsel?
It is a medicine report card, Your Excellency. It was seen that the victim had an appointment at a clinic prior to visiting the restaurant.
Had a clinic? Yes, there would indeed appear to be an entry for that date in question. 19th November, noon to past 1 p.m.
The very day of the incident. So the victim went for late lunch following his appointment. The explanation couldn't be more simple. The prosecution felt no need to submit this evidence before, as it really has no bearing on this case. I wonder, what do you think, Ryunosuke?
Well, it is hard to see how it could be related, really.
Remember, you can request for it to be entered into court record as evidence if you think it could be useful.
If I may, I'd like to ask for that medical report card to be submitted as evidence, Your Excellency.
On what grounds? The court has already heard conclusive witness testimony. Additional evidence would be extraneous. Not to mention that the victim's movements prior to his arrival at the restaurant are of no concern. Whether or not they are of no concern is up to us to decide. We have a right to explore all possible avenues. I beg your pardon? You have no authority to refuse a perfectly valid request for the submission of evidence.
Very well, the court will grant the defense's request.
Youngsters these days are forever asserting their rights. It's a most disturbing trend.
Officer, kindly add the victim's medical report card to the court record.
What we need right now is new clues. We have to explore things from every possible angle, even if they don't seem relevant at first. Right, I hear you. You can conspire to prolong this trial as much as you like, but it's the day after the festival already for you. Or perhaps you've forgotten that these witness testimonies leave no room for doubt. Feel free to reiterate for the accused, Korikuda-san.
Yes!
Excellent work, Inosuke. We've gleaned some new information now. Guess what? But I don't feel like it changes much. I can't see that it brings any real discrepancies to light. I wouldn't be so sure. Let me see that medical report card you got before. Oh, you mean this? Yes, this is a brand new piece of evidence. So perhaps we should examine it in a little more detail. How exactly? So, partner, I think you should take a closer look at this medical report card. See if there isn't something new to be learned by examining it in more detail. Alright, I see what I can do. It says how to clinic on this medical report card. I hate clinics almost as much as I hate hospitals and surgeries. Aren't they all the same? When I was 5, I caught the only cold I've ever had in my life. And I remember, even though I felt awful already, I had to have this hideous injection in my arm. I'll never forget it. Never in my whole life. Most people would give their right arm to have had only one cold in their life. Anyway, I don't think this is a clinic where they treat people for illnesses like that. Let's keep looking for clues. We don't want to miss anything. It seems like this medical report card was first issued quite some time ago. It's probably a record of a long-term treatment, that's why, with a family doctor, I imagine. Well, I can't imagine going to a doctor. I mean, as long as I'm alive, I'm never consulting one. Well, if you were dead, there'd be no point, so you don't like doctors then. Why would you? They make you drink horrible tasting medicine, they give you painful injections, then they demand lots of money for you for the privilege, all when you're at your lowest ebb. You sound like a model patient with a bad case of stubbornness and less, for which the only cure is a very bitter medicine indeed. Let's have a look. There's some kind of medical history. There's an entry for the day the professor was killed. Extraction of molar with topical anesthesia. Extraction of molar? You mean he had its tooth taken out? It would seem so. Just before the incident, he'd had a bad tooth removed. Perhaps they use laughing gas. That's the most modern practice in the West for pain relief. Yes, I've heard of this anesthesia. There's a cautionary note from the medical practitioner as well. Strictly no food or drink besides water for 3 hours post-procedure until anesthetic effects have passed. Really? Sounds like information worth bearing in mind. With this new information, the meaning of that one particular statement totally changes. So I think it's time we listen to the testimony again, don't you? Definitely. Yeah, I missed it.
Yes!
Well, I think...
About what are you wittering, lad? Call yourself a lawyer.
Rinosuke. Everyone stumbles on their words occasionally. Under the circumstances, I wouldn't worry about it. Thanks, Kazuma. I could see it quite clearly in that cross-examination you just carried out. When you raised your hand straight up like that, so purposefully, you knew exactly what it was you wanted to say. Don't feel like you have to choose your words carefully. Just say what you're thinking. Alright. And thanks for the advice. Kurikuda-san, this is a medical report card belonging to the victim.
I see and I don't see. What of it, boy?
Comparing what is written on this report card with your witness statement, something clearly doesn't add up.
Dear me, have you forgotten my word so soon, you amateur?
Sorry, what?
You're not to interrupt court proceedings with your amateurish drivel. Let's see if I can explain this in words you might understand. It was after 2 p.m. in the afternoon when the victim was murdered at the restaurant. Whatever he may or may not have done before that time is completely irrelevant.
But that's,
Remember, Ryunosuke, you don't have to use clever language or fancy words. Just make your point. Your Excellency, I believe we're finished here. There is surely no need to prolong this trial. The witness testimonies the court has heard have been clear and concise. This medical report card has no bearings on the matter at all, for the simple reason that there is no one else besides this pale-faced pupil who... This medical report card has nothing to do with this case.
do you really believe that?
Of course I believe it. How could it possibly be relevant? Perhaps because Hada Clinic, which issued the report card, is a dental clinic. A dental clinic? Is that supposed to mean something to me?
Perhaps if I told you that the victim had just had a tooth extracted.
What does that smell?
Furthermore, if I told you that as a result the victim had been forbidden from eating.
Just what are you trying to say, Cadet? He had orders not to eat, so what?
It's all written up in here. No food or drink other than water for 3 hours post-procedure while anesthetic wears off.
What? No, that can't.
Korikuda-san,
What, boy, what?
as you've just heard, when he was killed sometime shortly after 2 p.m., the victim couldn't have been eating anything at all.
No.
Additionally,
There's more?
you have assured the court with unwavering self-confidence that the victim was dining alone. But that cannot possibly be the case. Because the victim, as we know now, had just had one of his teeth extracted and was still experiencing the effects of anesthetic.
Expertly done, partner.
Objection!
What is this nonsense, you little upstart?
These are baseless accusations. Just look at this photographic evidence. You can clearly see the plate of food at the victim's table.
Objection!
Use your head. That's the very discrepancy we're talking about, or can't you follow the logic?
How dare you?
I think it's fair to say that the tables in this restaurant's case have turned. Wouldn't you agree, Ryunosuke?
Yes, most definitely.
Having just undergone some dental surgery, the victim was unable to eat. Which leaves one very crucial conundrum. Who in fact was eating the pictured beefsteak? The court will hear the opinion of the defense on this new puzzle. I assume you're ready, counsel?
Alright, the answer to this question is going to be pivotal. This is the start of you turning this trial around. Show them what you're made of.
Got it. Obviously, it can only have been someone else who was sitting at the professor's table.
Attention!
You will not let this go, will you? There was no such person. There was, because I saw her. When the incident occurred, we know that the victim couldn't have been eating anything. Yet we have evidence of a half-eaten steak on his table. Therefore, the only logical conclusion is that there was somebody else there eating it. We have strong evidence to support our assertion. It's clear that these witness testimonies are unreliable. If the court decides to push through a ruling at this stage, we will lodge a formal complaint with the Ministry of Justice and pursue a fair retrial relentlessly. Kazuma, are you insane? You would take on the government? Don't worry, counsel. I have no issue with you. What do you mean? I have issue with them, those two witnesses in the stand.
What? What are you talking about?
We have demonstrated with evidence that the victim was not alone. So if it now turns out that you two have deliberately lied when giving your testimonies, obviously you will be charged with perjury.
Perjury?
That was wrong. And since this is a murder trial, you will also be deemed complicit in the killing.
Complicit in murder? No! Negative. There was no mention of this at tactical meeting. I was just following orders. That's late as the man says. Just say you never saw the gentlewoman. That's what they told us. Oh.
What did you just say, Kurokuda-san? You're just following orders?
Now hold on, lad. I was,
So you never saw the gentlewoman? When you say gentlewoman, do you mean you saw the victim with the lady from overseas? What?
Attention!
What is the meaning of all this? These witnesses gave false statements? Is this true, you pair?
Just one simple slip of the tongue. Order. Counsel, explain what is going on here.
It's painfully clear now. You tried to prevent these witnesses from telling the truth. Absolutely not. The prosecution knows nothing of this. And who's behind this? Who tried to make you keep your mouth shut?
Well, that's classified.
So you're prepared to be tried as a conspirator to this murder, are you?
You wouldn't. This can't be happening.
Ryunosuke, judging from the way that they're reacting to this, I'd say they were sworn to silence by someone with considerable influence. However, I don't believe Auchi had any idea about it. What are you saying? What are you saying? I mean, to wield that kind of influence, there are only a handful of possibilities. Well, any idea who might be behind this? If we can affirm who tried to silence these witnesses, then we can continue our pursuit. So we need to name whoever it was to try to make the witnesses keep their mouth shut. Of course, we'll need evidence before we make any firm accusations. Evidence that proves whoever it was really did wield his or her power here.
But how? How can we possibly...
Remember how we made progress before?
Before?
We examined this piece of evidence in more detail and found a new clue as a result.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's not the only piece of evidence we have, is it? We need to re-examine everything and make sure there's nothing we missed. There's no time to lose.
I want answers. If it's proven that these witnesses have been manipulated, I assure you, the penalty will be severe.
Please wait, Your Excellency. I have no idea about any of this. I swear to every Shinto god. I knew nothing.
And what does the defense have to say about all this?
Well, Your Excellency...
Yes!
Damn, I was wrong.
Ah, the symbol of Yume University. Every student wears this pin with pride. It's funny, but most emblems seem to be round or rectangular. I like the spike design, even though it doesn't really make any sense. Although it does cause problems. Lots of students end up cutting their fingers on the blade. Perhaps it was the idea of one of the founders. A sharp pin for a sharp mind or something. Wow. Well, that's unexpected. What is? Look, do you see it says the witness's name here? Satoru Hosonaga. Well, yes, business cards do tend to show the person's name. That's sort of the point. It's not the name that's unexpected. It's his job title. His job? Oh. Chief Inspector Satoru Hosonaga, Primary Criminal Investigation Division, Imperial Police Bureau. Inspector?
What on earth?
I have no idea, but let's face it, the police have a lot of power and influence if they're wielding it somehow here.
Yes!
Well, surely that would be Satoru Hosonaga-san.
Hosonaga-san, the waiter who took the stand earlier?
Objection!
Poppycock. What possible reason would the waiter have to make these false... Not to mention the fact that even a head waiter cannot possibly have that level of influence. For once, I would agree with you. If, that is, the man truly were a waiter. Well, if he truly were... Come on, Ryunosuke, time to hit this cord with the truth.
Yes!
The plan of this restaurant sketched by the man in question? I agree shows a great deal of attention to detail, but I'm not sure we can include anything.
Sorry, Your Excellency, that's the back of the card. It's the back of the card that's of interest. That's of interest.
I beg your pardon?
Or perhaps I should have said the front. Yes, it's the front of the back of the card. That's where the telling detail is.
Would somebody please just help me?
Hosonaga-san sketched the plan of the restaurant on the reverse side of his business card. The front of that business card reveals the man in question's profession, his true profession.
The waiter's profession? But surely... Good gracious.
That's right, Your Excellency. The card reads, Chief Inspector, Primary Criminal Investigation Division, Imperial Police Bureau. What? The waiter is a police detective? I haven't heard any mention of this before. Why haven't I heard any mention of this before? The Imperial Police Bureau has immense power, absolute power as far as regular civilians are concerned. So witnesses there in the stand. Was it in fact the waiter who gave you your orders? Was it he who told you not to mention that you'd seen this foreign gentlewoman at the scene?
Well... Inspector Hosonaga.
Oh wait. Inspector Hosonaga.
I was worried something like this may happen. The moment you asked me to submit my sketch as evidence, I realized it was a possibility. The court will take this plan and add it to the court record. Oh, okay, well... Is there a problem? Hand the plan to the court officer at once! Of course, here you are.
Yes, I remember now. He did act strangely when the judge asked him to hand over his business card.
I strive to carry out all investigations flawlessly. It's my guiding principle. But I let myself be distracted when I made that sketch. It was an unusually careless mistake.
So you mean to say you really are a detective? But why would a detective be working as a restaurant waiter? Of course, your salary...
I was working undercover.
Undercover?
Yes, there's been a series of incidents at the restaurant recently. In order to investigate, I decided to get a job there as a waiter, working undercover.
Incidents at the restaurant? What kind of incidents?
That would be classified police information, which I am not at liberty to divulge. However, I can state categorically that they are unrelated to this case of homicide. Very well then, Inspector Hosonaga, but you will elaborate on one point for the court. Of course, Your Excellency. We have just heard new information from the two witnesses beside you, that at the time of the shooting, there was in fact another person present at the victim's table. If that is indeed true, clearly you would have also been aware of this person's presence, having served at the table in question. However, your testimony did not allude to this other diner. Therefore, I am led to assume that in your professional capacity as a police officer, you required these two witnesses to be in agreement. Would that be correct? Correct, Your Excellency.
Unbelievable.
As I suspected.
As soon as I heard the gunshot, I ran out of the kitchen to see what had happened. The victim sat slumped in his chair, and beside him, gun in hand, stood the accused student. Sitting opposite the victim at the same table was a young lady, whom I guessed to be an Englishwoman.
So the truth comes out.
I immediately sealed off the restaurant and reported the incident to the bureau. It was then that I received some special orders.
Special orders, you mean to say?
Remove the Englishwoman from the scene at once. It was made clear that the Englishwoman's presence at the restaurant was to be concealed. Those were my orders.
But what if this Englishwoman was the killer?
I think it would be in everyone's best interest not to pursue that idea. The Empire views the friendly terms of its relationship with Britain more highly than anything at the moment. An Englishman has been murdered on our soil. To name an Englishwoman as a primary suspect? Well, without irrefutable evidence, that would be completely out of the question.
So that's the reason for the disappearance of the phantom woman in this case.
But it's not right.
One possibility does spring to mind.
What do you mean, Kazuma?
Yuma University is currently hosting a number of exchange students from Great Britain, and I'm fairly certain that one of them studying in the medical faculty's research laboratory is a young Englishwoman.
What?
You're a shrewd man. I can see why you're the chosen candidate for the overseas study tour.
You mean...
When I removed the woman from the scene of the crime, I thought it prudent to check her identity first. Then the court demands that you name the lady in question at once, Inspector. The Englishwoman sitting at the university professor's table was a certain Miss Jelzai Brett. She is indeed a foreign student, studying in the research laboratory of UMA.
What is happening here?
I admit that under orders from the police bureau, I erased all evidence of the lady's presence at the scene and ordered these witnesses to make no mention of her in their testimonies. It must now be up to you, Your Excellency, to decide how to deal with this situation. Very well. My thoughts on the matter are as follows. Thus far, the case presented to the court has been underpinned by a particularly critical premise. Namely, that the victim was dining alone. However, as we have now discovered that this premise is false, it will be a desecration of our justice system to ignore the truth and give a ruling at this point.
But, Your Excellency, that would mean missing the noon deadline of our ruling in order to send telegraphic reports to Great Britain. Our own government will surely be displeased by our such actions.
Calm yourself, Counsel. I will not allow the government of our country or any other to influence the proceedings of my courtroom. Inspector Hosonaga? Yes, sir? You will locate this Josiah Brett and escort it to the courtroom with the utmost urgency. At once, Your Excellency.
But that means you'll be going against the special orders you were given from the police bureau.
As I said before, it is my guiding principle to carry out all investigations flawlessly.
So it wouldn't be a problem?
Nothing will get in my way. Court will adjourn briefly. The prosecution must call the English student, Josiah Brett, to this witness stand. Do I make myself clear?
Yes, Your Excellency.
Good, then we'll have a 30-minute recess before reconvening.